Hello, Alex. Thank you for agreeing to do this podcast with us. Can you tell us a little bit about yourself and your role?
Yeah, thank you. So first of all, thank you so much for inviting me this morning. Yeah, so my name's Alexandra. I'm Associate Professor in Enterprise at Sheffield Business School, Sheffield Hallam. And I also head up the Centre for Business Growth and Transformation here at the Business School. And I'm Programme Director for the Help to Grow Management Programme.
Amazing. So what is the Help to Grow Management course?
So this is a course that was designed by the Small Business Charter, along with industry experts, SME experts, academic experts, specifically directed towards leaders of small businesses, leaders of small and medium-sized enterprises, with the aim of supporting them in terms of driving productivity and growth. It's a leadership course. It's 90% government funded, and participants receive 12 weeks of support. Now that's not always consecutive. Try to give breaks in between. They get 50 hours of leadership training.
Amazing.
Which and then 10 hours of one-to-one mentoring. So as I said, it's the aim was supporting SME leaders here at Sheffield Business School. So we've delivered the programme to 280 participants since 2021. That's around, say, 260 SMEs. And they are from different sectors. We've had amazing participants from engineering firms through to hospitality and retail. And in terms of the course itself and how it's delivered, so it's hybrid. So you have some sessions are online. Some sessions are face-to-face. You have peer group sessions that are online, and you have mentoring. So, a typical week when it's a face-to-face session is that the participants will come together as their cohort with their fellow peers, fellow leaders from the other SMEs on the programme. They will come on campus, or it might be different locations for different universities that are delivering the programme.
Is it on campus? Do they get a feel of campus life as well through the course?
Yeah, so coming on that when it's a face-to-face session, so around about 4 hours, and then we have chance for lunch afterwards and networking. So that's in a face-to-face session, and that's all based around a teaching case. And they typically run they're kind of the third session of the whole course. So that gives them an opportunity for everybody to come together. And then so they'll have that maybe on the Tuesday, and then they might be talking to their mentor in that week.
And how big are the groups?
So maximum on a cohort is 30. You typically, on average, early 20s, I would say, in a cohort. So our last cohort, we did reach the 30 participant mark, but typically it's early 20s are in the cohorts. And they when it's an online session, so that might be, say, on a Tuesday morning, 10 till, in our case it's 10 till 12. They come together for a 2-hour online session, and then on the Thursday they come into smaller groups. So this is a great opportunity to have that conversation with their peers in a smaller group. So it could be like 5 to 6. And that's supported by what we call a facilitator development consultant, who's with them throughout the whole of the course. For the modules that they get taught on, so let's say for the first part of the course, it's all around strategy and innovation, digital transformation, entering new markets. That first part of the course, you have a specialist who delivers all of those different sessions, and then in the peer groups they get a chance to kind of talk that through, and then a bit more on what that means to them. So lots of opportunities to connect with other business leaders.
So, who is an ideal candidate then for the course? Who would be the ideal?
Yeah, so there are eligibility criteria.
Yeah.
So I'll start with that. So it needs to be a senior leader within an SME, so not the micro business end, but from 5 to 249 employees. So that's part of the criteria. Can be a social enterprise, but can't be charities. There are some kind of criteria around a charity if there's a commercial arm, but what I would say is if somebody was applying, then we could clarify that when they do apply beforehand. So typically, that's the eligibility criteria. The company has to have been trading for at least a year. And what I would say more broadly is that it's about, being a leader can be a lonely place in it, particularly in SME. So, coming to this course and being open-minded about learning, learning from peers. And we have had people who are owner managers. So you might find somebody who've set their business up from scratch. You might have those who have been in a production role and then are moving into more of a people leading role.
Maybe operational HR.
Yeah, absolutely. And that kind of then driving, or maybe they've been on the shop floor, worked themselves up through the business, might have been in a manufacturing company, and then now are actually leading teams and a part of kind of the strategic direction of the business. So you can have that that type of leader, but we really do get different different cohorts, different leaders on the program.
I can imagine, because the scope is quite wide, isn't it? And if it's all about having that conversation as well, depending on who they are, and then if there's some boxes that they tick or not quite tick, but if you can look at the business as a whole, it seems like it's quite an interactive process, which is brilliant. So, what do you think business leaders will get from taking the course?
So what they actually get from the course is that from day one they're starting to think about a growth action plan, and at the end of the course they'll come out with some real key actions for them to take forward in the business. So we have those who come on who are really focused. They're talking about really need to develop more of a better recruitment and retention strategy, or actually we're going into new markets, we need help here, or we really need to build the teams in the organisation. But we're starting off with that, what will be some of those key actions for you to take forward and work on your growth action plan. They'll get access to experts, so often those people who are leading on the themes, they've ran their own businesses or have worked in industry, as well as being an academic or a researcher in that field. With the mentoring program, they're getting that opportunity to have that face-to-face support. So there could be something that comes out of the conversations through the sessions that they really want to dig deeper with, and that might be around their own leadership style, it might be digital transformation, it might be developing the marketing strategy, but they can do that then with their mentor and dig a little bit deeper. What's incredibly valuable, and you'll know this from your network, is being with peers in this context. So that we have business leaders who would have never kind of met before. So an example of a lady who owned a pizza company sat next to a gentleman who's from a manufacturing engineering firm, and they're both talking about challenges around operational efficiencies in their business. Now, the opportunity to have those types of conversations and share that learning, this is what the course provides. So there's all the networking opportunities, and some of those peer groups working together, they do continue after the course. So the relationships that they've built, which again I know you'll be.
Isn't it? You know, that sort of class together, maybe can tap into that resource and knowledge. Networking is very powerful. I think it's like you're actually creating networks through the course. So what do you think the main issues are that businesses are facing at the moment, and how does the course try to support leaders in overcoming them? Because obviously we're going through a period of austerity, and it is impacting, you know, all aspects of life, especially business.
Yeah, and I think on the course, some of the, in addition to, you know, the challenges of, you know, rising costs of running a business, you know, the recruitment and retention challenges. So in highly competitive markets, you know, different profile of employee, you know, working in hybrid, although, you know, we've been working in hybrid situations for a long time now, for a number of years, you know, still those challenges of leading teams and growing your business in that hybrid way of working, and around kind of recruitment and retention, thinking about, so it's not going to be necessarily the golden answer or the golden bullet, but around, you know, thinking about how you can address these problems. But, you know, new ways of thinking, different strategies. You know, if you're having challenges around recruitment and retention, how are you really showcasing the values of your business? You know, if we look at customers and employees, you know, looking for that value-driven business, how is that coming out in your recruitment strategy? And it might be, you know, challenges around implementing a change program. So, you know, you're looking to transform your business from a digital perspective. You know, adopt a new digital transformation. And what we do is, on that note, if it's not something necessarily directly on the course, because we are very well networked with different business support providers, so it, you know, it might be yourselves, it might be, you know, if you're a manufacturing firm, talking to Make UK. If it's an international business issue, particularly here in South Yorkshire, then we would, you know, direct to the South Yorkshire Chamber network, who've incredible expertise there in international trade. As I said before, some people have never done the people part of running a business, and the challenges that brings with that. And I think, again, on the rising costs, I think it is just about, you know, thinking differently. How can you become, you know, are there ways to operate more efficiently, managing your resources in a different way? So those are some of the challenges that come through on the course with the business leaders we're working with.
Brilliant. So I know you've already touched on this, but I'm going to ask again, so who teaches the course? And the academics that actually teach, do they have any experience of, you know, owning their own business?
Yeah, so myself, I have set up a couple of businesses in the past, so I know I know the highs and lows of running a business, you know, and actually, you know, being in that position of you know, some really difficult decisions that you have to make. You know, being able to, you know, not switch off, you know, especially if you know, you're running your own business, the challenge that brings, you know, maybe paying your team rather than yourself when you're in the, you know, at that point in your business. So, you know, a number of us have worked in consulting roles, and particularly with small business too. So yeah, across the piece, that
there's
experience,
a real connection between academic and also, you know, the running your own business and be able to put that into practice as well. So that's brilliant.
Yeah, and I think on that note too, just to add as well, we work a lot with our students on consultancy projects with business. So maybe for some of the staff who haven't maybe run their own business, they're working a lot with companies and the challenges that they bring in connection with our students, and finding solutions with the students, with the company, to address particular problems.
That is really good. That is actually connecting innovation, isn't it, with the challenges, getting a fresh pair of eyes, and who better than the students to give that their view. But you've also spoken about the actual course, the mentoring part of the course, because that's very interesting, because mentoring is so important, because it's that one-to-one bespoke, that it's not a one size fits all. So I think that's really, really crucial. So how does that work then?
Yeah, so what I should say is the small this small business charter accredited programme, it runs across the whole of the UK. So it's delivered by around 60 business schools across the UK, and there are other business schools in the Yorkshire and Humber region who deliver the programme. But the mentoring programme is managed centrally, but there's a matching system. So when the participant comes on the course, then they complete a profile, and then ideally within about 3 weeks of the course, they're then matched with an appropriate mentor. So in the system, they can, they have that put in their profile, and then there are mentors that are already in there, and then they'll get matched. If they're finding it difficult to be matched, then there is support there available to help them find an appropriate mentor. And it's interesting, you have the amount of people who come on the course who are very clear and know exactly what they want and the support they need. So they might be looking particularly for an international marketing expert. Others, it's actually it might be there's quite a few challenges, and it's more than that. So it's a bit more holistic look at the business. And we do have some companies where they've built that relationship, and then they've continued to work with their mentor beyond the programme. And with the mentoring, when they finish the course, there is a certain amount of time after the course is completed where they can have their mentoring hours. So it doesn't have to all be within that 12 weeks of delivery. So that gives you time to really kind of reflect and think through and work on those specific challenges.
Oh, I think you've just nearly answered the next bit of my next question there. So in terms of the support, you've already said the mentoring that it can continue, but when does the support end? Is it when the course ends, or is it with the mentoring? You said that there might be some sessions after, but how does it work?
Yeah, so when you're on the course, so we do, in terms of onboarding, that all happens right at the beginning. We all the materials that the participants have access to are online. So we talk through how they access those, make sure everybody's comfortable with that. There are various checkpoints in their learning as they're going through with workbooks. We have as I said before, a development consultant. Other business schools might give them different names, like a facilitator, but they work with that participant through the whole of the course. So they're with them all the way, and in our case, they deliver the peer group sessions too. And then whilst they're doing working with the theme specialist, then support there if there was a particular question that they wanted to follow up on marketing, they can do. When the course finishes, so the mentoring, they have the 10 hours, and it's up to them how they choose to use that during the course. So it might be it works really well to have 10 1-hour slots. It might be between the mentor and the mentee, say, let's have a couple of half days, and we'll do it like that. They might want to do it post course completion, and they do that within a number of weeks after the course is completed. There's also we have well, across the UK, there is an alumni network for all of those participants that have taken part on the course. So there are national events, national support. There's an alumni website that has all different opportunities to participate, extra materials. We here at Sheffield Business School, in our Centre for Business Growth and Transformation, we've run sessions on conflict resolution within a business. We've run sessions on responsible leadership, design thinking, carbon literacy. So all the alumni of the course, then they can participate in those courses. And we say as business schools and universities across the region, they can tap into, or still, we're building trusted relationships. So, those networks, should they wish to, continue to work with us, there's lots of opportunities to do that. Or, we'll, as I said before, we'll signpost. So whether it's to yourselves, Make UK, Chambers, we'll ensure that they can, if we can't provide the solution, we'll ensure that they're directed to others. Yeah.
That's amazing. So we've been going since 2021, with some really good numbers there. So what have previous businesses said about the course? Have you got any testimonials or anything you'd like to share?
Yeah, absolutely. We've got on our website, we've got some case studies there. We've got some video case studies that people can have a look through, and also some testimonials. But we've worked with companies like Yes Energy Solutions, which was looking to alleviate fuel poverty. And they've sent 2 people on the course. So if you've got more than 10 employees, you can send 2 people on the programme. And they talk about doubling their turnover after the first year of being on the programme. Talk about developing leadership skills further, and being able to challenge some of the employee engagement issues we've seen. Positive outcomes there. A couple of businesses that we work with, you'll see in the videos there. One is Van Shades, one Leighton Vans, where the 2 gentlemen there are talking about how they've developed their own leadership skills and the roles that they've gone into. Also how it's supported them in accessing new markets, so internationally. And on those particular cases as well, the students were, we had them working with students on student consultancy too, so that was free as part of their course. So and the stats as well, you can see in terms of the national data. So looking at over 90% of participants from the impact data have said about improving their leadership and management skills. Things around operational efficiencies, I could go on, but yeah.
That's amazing. So we might have touched on this before, but I'm going to ask it again. So how can businesses engage with the university?
Yeah, so to come onto the course, so our next course is the 6th of June. So there is a link there on our Help to Grow Management page where you can click in there and register. The course, as I said before, is delivered by business schools, universities across that have small business charter status across the whole of Yorkshire and Humber and the whole of the UK. So they can go onto the small business charter site and choose the best location for them. And you'll see when the courses are taking place. For at Sheffield Business School and in our centre, we have we can contact us through email, business@SHU. We'll give some links afterwards at the end, but if they've got, it doesn't necessarily just have to be Help to Grow Management, but if you have a resourcing challenge or a skills need or a technical challenge, reach out to the business school or reach out to the university in the first instance, and then we'll try to navigate who is the best person then for them to work with. But we've our graduate opportunities, the student consultancy I've talked about here at Hallam University in Sheffield. All of our students, as part of their course, engage in some kind of applied practical projects.
And that's priceless. That is absolutely invaluable, isn't it? Just getting that experience before they actually come out after their qualification. That is amazing. So we've spoken about the university. Do you want to tell us a little bit more about the actual Centre of Business Growth and Transformation?
Yeah, so really exciting times for us. We're part of Sheffield Business School, and the centre is really about kind of driving business engagement, supporting businesses across the region and beyond. Whether it's around that innovation piece, the growth piece, and we also do through the centre that student consultancy. So all of that kind of support is sitting within the centre. We're also very excited because we're moving into our new business school building. So if anyone is coming into Sheffield, we'll be right near the train station. So later on in the year we'll be in there, and we really want that to be a collaborative space. So if people are coming in, they want to go in, grab a coffee, come and talk to our students, come and talk to our staff. We really want it to be that kind of vibrant, collaborative space. So we do. We've been working on the Made Smarter programme, which is a digital transformation course. So the leadership and management development part of that course. So all of that engagement, sits within the centre for business growth and transformation.
It's amazing. So we're on to our last question now, Alex.
Yeah.
How can businesses sign up? When's the next intake? And have you got any special offers for the podcast listeners as well?
That's a great question. Yes. So we will give you, again, we can share the links for people to sign up, but the next cohort starts on the 6th of June. Really easy sign up process. So we can send that through. And for any kind of YABA podcast listeners, if they're interested and meet the eligibility criteria, we can offer some fully funded places for that. Might have to work on a first come first serve basis, but we'd be delighted to have some of your members join our programme.
That is fantastic, and what a great incentive and what a great programme. Alex, I just want to say thank you so much for your time. That has been very informative, and we've learned loads, and I think it's just great, the collaboration between businesses, universities, and then university students as well. So thank you once again for your time.
No, thank you so much. Yeah, thank you, Sabi. Thank you.